Now let's talk to Harold the H. Peacock. And he's going to talk about the archaeological find from last week with a train guard, I think he is, or stoker or fireman. He's doing something. How are you? I was going to call him Steve. It's Harold.
Well, thanks, Danny. Yeah, look, I'll bring you up to speed with that story because his name was Steve, so you almost got there.
Yeah. Well, you take it away, young fella.
But yeah, so last time, I'll help you remember, I told you about Steve Welsh. Now, he was a fireman on Queensland's very first passenger train in 1865 and the driver in Queensland's very first fatal train accident.
Oh.
Now, thanks to archaeology research, I rediscovered his lost home site in a 120-acre ploughed field in the Lockyer Valley, along with an 1879 English penny right at his doorstep, as well as like a number of other items. Well, this week I went back to the site and found more artefacts and used genealogy research to add a heap more amazing people to the Welsh story. So what I found was some small mysteries. One thing was a windmill brass pump rod connector in a place where there hasn't been a windmill in living memory.
Wow.
And also a copper rivet from a horse saddle, again, where horses haven't been for over a century. I also recovered over 200 pieces of porcelain, earthenware and glassware, all dated from the 1860s and 1870s. They'd been in that field and ploughed 3 times a year for the last 110 years, and so some were quite small but identifiable.
Wow.
And it all belonged to Queensland's historic train driver Steve Welsh and his family. So this week I looked into his descendants and found more absolutely amazing people connected to that ploughed field. Now, Steve Welsh's son, Steve Welsh Jr., was one of Ipswich's greatest athletes of the 19th century.
Wow.
He starred for Ipswich in athletics, Australian rules football, rugby and soccer. In fact, he captained the Queensland Aussie rules team in 1888 and was the goal kicker and a try scorer for the Queensland rugby team when it first wore maroon in 1895. And best of all, like you, Danny, he was considered quite a catch for the ladies because when he attended a Toowoomba Athletic Club dance, the newspapers reported that additional bevies of ladies attended the event, especially because the guests included such favourites as the Longan Steve Welsh. Now, he was tall and athletic, and in a recent book, he was named in the Queensland Australian football's team of the 19th century.
Really?
Yeah. And then there was Steve Welsh Sr.'s great-grandson, Chilla Porter.
He was played rugby medalist. I know about Chilla Porter. Keep going.
Yeah, well, he never played rugby. He was a silver medalist at the 1956 Melbourne Olympics.
He was a surgeon, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't.
I got it wrong again.
No, close. But Chilla Porter, he's in both the Queensland Sport and Athletics Australia Halls of Fame.
I've heard of him.
And another great-grandson that you would have heard of was Garth Welsh. He was the principal dancer of the Australian Ballet.
Well, how would I know him? I don't get around in tights.
Yeah, you're a dancer, Danny. Anyway, Garth was awarded an Order of Australia. You might have seen him at your ceremony.
I got one.
And is in the Australian Dance Awards Hall of Fame. Then there's great-grandson Stanton Welsh, who was awarded an Order of Australia for service to the performing arts. And his brother Damien Welsh, who, like his father, was also a principal dancer of the Australian Ballet. And I could go on. The descendants of Steve Welsh, whose ancestral home I discovered in the Lockyer Valley, are just absolutely amazing. And, of course, they all have a connection with Ipswich. But even after the archaeology and genealogy and metal detecting that I did, this week an even more remarkable thing happened, Danny.
Wow.
I was able to actually meet with Steve Welsh's great-great-granddaughter at a coffee shop at Chapel Hill in Brisbane. Now, her name is Helene, and I was able to give to her the more than 200 artefacts that I'd found. And so those items are now reunited with the Welsh family for the first time in over 110 years.
Wow.
And understand they'll be made into some sort of framed memorial to Queensland's historic train driver.
Mate, you do some great work. Was she really wrapped?
Absolutely. I'll post photos online, and I've got Helene just going through the items, because don't forget, she's the first member of her family to hold those items in more than a century.
Can you imagine?
And it's from a location that had been lost in time. They didn't know where the home was. So that's all come to life.
You know, can you imagine the person in the coffee shop looking across at these two people, and a bloke pulling a whole lot of junk out of his pockets?
Oh, Danny, I get that a lot. I get that look a lot.
And going, what in the hell's going on here? Oh, you're a funny man. So how do we get to look at this?
Yeah, go to historyouthere.com. In the morning, I'll be posting the story, but photos of all these Welsh descendants, and some of the items I've found. That'll all be online. But before we go, Danny,
yes,
I've got to say happy birthday today to Jamie McLean.
Yeah.
He's listening in Branksome in Country Victoria. He never misses every week. He's a super fan, so happy birthday, Jamie.
How good is that? Good on you, Jamie. Happy birthday. And Harold H. Peacock he stunned us again with another great story here, only here, on West Bremer Radio. And go onto that website, historyouthere.com, and give us a few comments about what you think of Harold and his segments, because it's top shelf radio. Good on you, Harold.